You know, some people enjoy composing their own music, chord by chord, and others are happiest when they come across that one perfect song. Work is not a lot different than that. Whether you prefer building your own workflow or using a pre-made template, with Monday.com, you and the team can work in a way that's comfortable for everyone. Tap the banner to go to Monday.com and build your own amazing workflow, or find an awesome template. No judgment.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race recap show for season 12, episode 14, titled Grand Finale. My name is Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by a co-host who's wearing right now a face kini inside of an eyeball. From the podcast pod is my co-pilot. Please say...
I'm a tubby piece of lard meat.
To Taylor, the Latte Boy. Hello, Taylor.
We're moving away from actual clips from the show to just random afterthought media clips now.
Well, no one really said anything of note in this episode that was worth talking about. Hi, Taylor. How are you?
So we thank you for investing time to listen to this episode where there was nothing worth talking about. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine. This is it. We finished.
This is it. Season 12 is finally over. You can go to Target. So whoop on me. Is that what it says?
Somewhere there's music playing.
Do you like... Okay, we're singing the theme song one day at a time. Which version do you like better? The original version or this Gloria Estefan version?
Of the theme song?
No, of Cheesecakes. Yeah, of course, of the theme song.
Oh, I like the original version. I like both versions. I like that the new version has the Latin flair to it.
Yeah,
but the original one is I associate that with childhood. So that one makes me.
Here's the original one. Listen to both here.
This is it. This is life. The one you get. So go and have a ball.
Why is Bonnie Franklin jumping?
This
so
is
happy.
This is it. Straight ahead and rest assured.
Coked out Mackenzie Phillips.
So while you're here, enjoy the view. Keep on doing what you do. Hold on tight, we'll muddle through one day at a time.
Oh, this is
So up on your feet, somewhere there's
Wait a minute. Was their apartment the same building as the Seinfeld apartment building?
Don't you worry, love. Just take it like it's on one day at a time. 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 One day at a time.
Okay, so that's the original. Okay, that's the original.
Right.
Which there's a
Very
nice
70s.
70s charm to it. Okay, now here's
Yes.
the Gloria Estefan version.
Yes.
This is it. This is life, the one you get. So go and have a ball. This is it. Straight ahead and rest assured.
I don't like Gloria Estefan. That's part of the problem.
So while you're
I used to love
here,
Gloria
enjoy
Estefan.
the
Oh, you do?
keep on doing what
I did.
you do. Hold on tight.
There's something about her that bugged the shit out of me. I don't know what it is. Her stupid steel rodder back.
On your feet. Somewhere that music plays. Don't you worry, no. We'll just take it like it comes. One day at a time.
I will say this: the fucking Schneider in this show can get it.
Oh my god! And the Schneider, and then she's dating a guy now.
Oh, she is.
Who he is super super hot, and they keep. There was an episode, the Halloween episode from the season. Both of them don't have their shirts on at various points. So it was very much, we were like, well, this is the best episode they've produced so far.
What did it say that I just remember? We're not doing Just Between Us Girls. We're actually in the show.
Oh no, I recognize that. I realize.
I didn't realize it right now. I'm like, oh wait a minute, this is the actual show. All right, well, let's get right into it this week. By the way, this is the kind of shit you're missing if you're not. Patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia if you want to hear this rambling shit all the time. All right, this week, the Queens of Season 12 return for the first ever digital finale. RuPaul lays out the format of this season's lip syncs for the crown. The final three are interviewed and asked to give advice to pictures of their younger selves. In the first round of lip syncs, the three finalists literally go head-to-head in a close-up lip sync to RuPaul's new single, Bring Back My Girls. In the second round, each of the finalists presented a lip sync to a song of their choice, which they recorded from their own homes. After all was said and done, none of the three was eliminated, and all three moved on to the final lip sync. Heidi in Closet was named Miss Congeniality, and finally, Crystal, Gigi, and Jada faced off in a lip sync battle for the crown. What's the song, by the way? Survivor by Destiny's Child. Ultimately, RuPaul named Jada Essence Hall as the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12. Taylor the Latte Boy for the final time this season. Give me two things you like about the episode and one thing you did not.
I think the two things that I liked were I appreciated the creativity of all of the girls. I think that they were successful to varying degrees, but the fact that they had to kind of think outside the box for this, even though this was, I was not necessarily a fan of the episode as a whole. I appreciated that it was something different and that they did the best with what they could, given everything that's going on in the world right now. This episode particularly, I hate the whole, what would you say to little Joey Diaz? And I can't believe, I thought we were going to get away from that at the end of the last episode, or the last of the episode that was in production. And the fact that it was brought up was not, I didn't like it. I still didn't like it through the three things. However, the interview portions of the segment, Jada's final interview with Ru, I think I would be surprised that anybody that was on the fence with Jada didn't fall in love with her more after that interview. Of the three of them, it seemed the most genuine. She seemed the most relaxed. It wasn't very, it wasn't pageant. I mean, I know she's a pageant queen. It just seemed like she was just, it was very earnest, and I just very much just loved that segment. The thing that I did not like about this episode, it is so abundantly clear that Ru was phoning it in through the entire thing.
Literally.
I think that literally, yes, literally and figuratively, where it felt like she, I mean, we'll get to the Face Keeney thing, but just, there was something about it that was just so, I have to do this. I've got an hour. I'm going to just kind of say the things that are on the script, and they're not going to match up with when when Ross and Michelle and, Carson are sort of making jokes. There was nothing even like showing like she was pretending to laugh. It was just very much like where it was very puzzle pieces put together, kind of thing. And it made me like Ru less because of it. So how about you? What were the things you liked and disliked?
You know, I actually, except for the talking to the faces and whatnot, I actually really liked the format, so to speak, and I wonder how they could. Well, you know what? I realize how they could do it, but I would love to see them do this, elements of this in the future. Okay, and so
I agree.
So what they should actually really do, to be honest with you, is my solution would be is at the final four, instead of having that extra episode where they do a dance number and all that shit, they should just break it there and then send the girls home and say, here's your assignment. Make a video at home and then we'll judge the best you can do. And then from there, we'll choose who goes to the finale. Does that make sense? Who goes to the lip sync for the crown thing? You know, someone on the First Response yesterday said this. I don't know if this is true. I have not seen this anywhere. But according to somebody, so this is alleged in the highest degree, that Gigi Goode got in trouble with production. This is a complete rumor here, because I guess in her first iteration of her video, in the AHA video, she actually went on location and shot like a really elaborate production. I don't know if this is true. I really don't. This is, someone just said this, and who knows what goes on, right? And so, and that they made her redo it. So that the aha video had been done differently and had been done on location. I don't know if that's true. So that's a complete, it could be a totally unfounded rumor. I have zero, it's something literally I heard someone say on the first response yesterday. But I wish that they would incorporate that. 'Cause I actually did like seeing what they could do with this. What's funny though is I wouldn't be surprised, the way things are relaxing here in Los Angeles, I don't know if it's going to be able to be pulled off, and hopefully they've been preparing the whole time. They could, in theory, film this season in Los Angeles. And I'm wondering if the smart thing to do, because we don't know what's going to happen with disease, is just to film the whole thing the way they haven't done that since season 3, but film the whole thing all the way through, just so that they don't have this problem again. But I don't know. So anyways, I like the format. It's really hard. So I'm going to tip my hand a little bit on my opinion, but I'm going to say that it's weird. I loved Crystal's aesthetic. Loved it. Coming out as the pinata was genius. If she would have done that on stage, I would have, because I feel like we got cheated a little bit because the camera sort of, the way it was edited, not noticing that out of the pinata blew like streamers out of its butt at one point,
Oh, it did? I didn't
exactly.
That.
So it wasn't edited. When you go back and watch, you'll see. But it was weird because I thought when I saw that, I'm like, oh, she lost. Because it's one of these things where, one, Evie Oddly had a similar sort of feel to her, and she just won. And two, I just didn't feel that's what the season needed for the winner, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And I think because of everything that's been going on with Sherry Pie and the pandemic, we wanted to race back to something more familiar. And weren't in a position to do something sort of outside of the box. We wanted something that feels safe. And so it was a mixed bag there. I was loving everything Crystal did, but was like, that also, unfortunately, in the times that are, and just also the way the show works, the show tends to try and mix things up every season. I don't know if that was for her. The thing I didn't like, I'll be honest with you, I found most of this very boring. I was playing Animal Crossing during the break, but I found myself at certain points continuing to play Animal Crossing during the show.
Okay.
Like, I was only looking up during the lip syncs or a looks-based thing. But, like, when they were just doing the talking head stuff, I was just playing Animal Crossing and listening, but playing Animal Crossing. So, there we go. Yeah. Now, I don't have an official script for this. I told producer Luke Stamen not to bother with that because there isn't really much to say. But we can. I have an outline here. I always have an outline, and we can kind of jump through the outline. What did you think of? So as we do this, what did you think of the opening? Watching the Queen, when they usually walk down the runway, Michelle just read and just did her thing with watching them. What were your thoughts on the looks and everything?
I thought the look that really stood out to me was Aiden Zane's. Mm-hmm. I thought Aiden looked incredible for Aiden, and I don't want to say for Aiden because that kind of diminishes it, but for somebody that we kind of saw with sort of the same wig and the same kind of look the whole time, for her to really kind of glam it up like that, I thought was a beautiful, with the black and like a copper color with the real.
Why gotta be black?
Dress.
I don't know why I love that.
That's the one that really kind of where Babalu and I both sort of went ooh, when she came out. I think some of them were more successful than others. I think some of them where they're sitting in their parents' living room was a little weird, but other ones that went up on a rooftop or did something that was a little more interesting, I paid attention to more. It was okay. I mean, nobody really. I mean, Aiden was really the only one that kind of stood out, but that's because I feel like the bar had been sort of low for her, so she really kind of went above the bar for her.
I love any kind of motion in an outfit, so I love the Widow Von Du's kind of spider outfit.
Okay. Because the arms moved behind her.
Yes.
Sort of thing. Because I felt like that dress could have been fitted better. It felt a little too loose. It felt a little garbage baggy to me.
Oh, I never noticed that shit. You notice that stuff. I never noticed it. Again, like I said, I loved Crystal Method's pinata look. There was some weird. Oh, we'll come back to that. All right. All right. Next, we have Rue come out in a black smock and a studded mask. And Rue explains the format of the finale. Nothing big there. Oh, I want to talk about when I would usually skip over the introduction of the judges. Michelle, Ross, whatever. What the fuck was going on with Carson's face?
Carson's ears touched in the back of his head. His face was pulled way too tight.
And also there was like, almost as if he'd been like, you know, when, have you ever done this? When a kid, you do this. Is you take a glass and you suck with this.
Yeah.
And then it leaves a big redness.
Yeah. It looked like he had like a skin peel or something.
Yeah. Well, bitch, you should have the skin
completely.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. Michelle looked beautiful. I thought Michelle, and that's one of these where, okay, so using that as an example, it'd be one thing if Michelle was on with no makeup and that sort of thing to kind of show that, look, we're trying to keep everybody safe or we're not doing that. I don't get how, being in this industry for 30 something years, Rue doesn't know how to put her makeup on. I know that there's the whole meme from the Project Runway from like 10 years ago where she apparently had to do her makeup herself or anything. You've got nothing else to do right now but to practice putting on makeup so that you at least look like you're trying. Last week we kind of, when we talked about it with the reunion, it felt very okay. You know, she's trying to do like the equivalent. People kind of justified it of maybe she's trying to do like a face mask sort of look, like, you know, like an overnight, you know, with like almost the equivalent of the cucumbers on the eyes. But this time was just sort of like, oh, you're lazy. That's what this is about. And that was kind of my feeling on that.
I don't think it's a laziness. I think it is that bitch doesn't know how to do her own makeup, and she'd rather be seen and face that drama than being seen of what she could do or being seen as old. Because
okay, but then wear a suit. Wear one of the suits that you wear when you initially come into the workroom.
I see what you're saying. Just be a boy.
And even if that's something where your makeup doesn't look as good, or if you don't wear makeup when you're wearing a suit, it makes more sense. Because it'd be one thing if she had on like big sunglasses, or she was wearing a face mask like over her face to kind of play into the quarantine-ness of everything. But we can see that you don't have makeup on. It's only covering the parts of your face that don't normally have makeup on.
Yeah, because even then you were, but I'll be honest with you, to almost prove her point, even with the little bit of skin you could see like, I have like this little dark spot right here. I don't know if you can see where my finger's pointing. And
yes.
I know you can get rid of it with some sort of like bleaching cream. I've just been too lazy to get it. And also, look, I mean, lipstick on a pig. But
that didn't take long. Okay. So yeah.
But she has one too. And I could see that. You could see her little, like, even the little flaws she has, which I think they hide with makeup even when she's a boy.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah.
But you can't tell me that she couldn't have somebody come over to her house and maybe not apply the makeup because you're within 6 feet of each other. But say to her, okay, now, where they sit far away from her and say, okay, we're going to teach you how to put on foundation correctly. Take your foundation, dip it in the little sponge things, and you kind of do it from far away, where you kind of show her how to do it. You can do it days before, where she has time to practice. She puts on one of her Klein Epstein Parker suits, and then do it that way. I would be much more understanding of that and much more forgiving of that than this weird, like, dominatrix flamenco dancer thing that she had on last night. That was just not. It feels. This sounds ridiculous given everything else that's going on in the world right now, but it feels disrespectful to the finalists that you're not even going to try.
I think because you're in Florida and I'm in California and I love our world and you don't, I think I respect it. I think I respect it more. Like, I'm like, okay, because she, I think it's one of these things where she was like taking it very seriously. Just didn't want anybody in her house. Maybe she's older, and maybe she's afraid of having, like, my parents are fucking scared shitless of this thing, and I think older people are too. And I think she's just, I don't know. I mean, I do think it looks silly. I don't find it disrespectful or anything.
Okay, but you know what? Okay. I will take that. She is older. She may want to take this into account. Okay, you and I are talking on a video conference right now.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that she can't Zoom somebody and
Raven,
actually have it to where she can't Zoom with Raven, and she probably doesn't want Raven having her phone number, and will actually, show her how to apply the makeup. I think in her head, I'm just making this up. I'm thinking in her head, it's easier just to do that than risk looking silly. But she ends up looking silly. I mean, we've been talking about this for a couple of minutes, and that is all over. It's all over Twitter. Mm-hmm. People talking about this. I'm reading the chat room right now. People are saying that it was lazy. It doesn't. I would say the solution, to be honest with you, isn't the makeup, but they have what they should have done is they have that lighting. It's like better than like the ring light. Some sort of lighting that can do it basically whites everything so out. Like on Howard Stern's initial Sirius poster pictures, for his promo pictures, I feel that they did that where there's a certain lighting that they can do where it's like super bright so that it washes out all your wrinkles. I think she should have done something like that, maybe like where you go the opposite. You go so bright that it washes out the wrinkles. But whatever, who knows? Another thing about that is that, and I'd like to comment on something that somebody in the chat room is saying. Bree in the Crowdcast chat room saying that she's proud of Michelle for rocking her gray hair. I agree with that. I would love to. I feel like Michelle at this point, because she's gone so long with black hair, I would love to see her with white hair. I would love to see her where she allows herself to go really gray, but with the big long hair. I think that would be an awesome look for her. And I find Michelle Visage's husband very attractive. I was going to ask you if you thought he was attractive. Yeah. No, he's cute. We kind of both like, who is that? Yeah. But okay. The next one thing we're going to talk about, because then what they did was they did a bunch of messages from the judges, and it was dumb. I didn't care. Yeah. Crystal Method. That interview with Crystal Method. I was disappointed there was no El DeBarge video call. I was disappointed. I was expecting there to be an El DeBarge video. I wonder how El DeBarge feels about that. Yeah, I could see there being like not wanting the association with a drag queen. You know, I'm sure calls were made. I'm sure. Yeah. Well, at the very least, he's getting residual checks from every time they play that fucking song. So yeah. But what was your thought on the interview with Crystal Method, the video package from the parents and all that stuff, and her video message from her grandmother and the baby picture, all that, everything having to do with Crystal Method right here. You know what? Let's do everything Crystal Method right here. Let's also talk about her video. We won't do the final lip sync, but her face video, the one where they all three sang, and then the one she made on her own. Let's talk about that right here too. Okay. I thought that it spoke a little to it was typical Crystal. I thought that, and I mean that in a good way. It definitely was nice to have both of her parents on and her grandmother. You know, it was nice that they were able to do that. I didn't get the look, what she was trying to go for with her look, with the close up. I thought Rue constantly talking about her mother and her grandmother's boobs was a little like, that's weird, but okay. Mm-hmm. And it was, I'm not sure where you want me to go with this, but I mean, I want you to give me your opinion. I mean, I like Crystal, so it was one of those where I enjoyed her. Mm-hmm. The video, the face of the three faces. Yeah, she was the one that I looked at the least. Oh, she was the one that she was the one that I watched the least between the two. My eyes kept going back and forth between Gigi and Jada. Interesting. When I would look at her, I would like, oh, okay, she's doing a great job, but I would immediately, Jada would do something or Gigi would do something with her that my eyes would immediately go back to them, where I felt like she was giving a very safe face lip sync. Yeah. When we get to the individual video with the birds, I kind of just sat with my mouth open the whole time and was like, what the fuck was that? Mm-hmm. But the more I think about it, the more I liked it. Mm-hmm. There was something very, when I was a senior in high school, I took my favorite class in school I ever took was a class called World Lit with Film. And for our final, we had to make a music video. That was that with learning all of these things that we learned about as far as filmmaking.
Me that music video still exists and that we could air it.
No, I'm not in it. I'm not in it. So, because the song, I don't want to say the song we did because it was horrible and it was.
What was the song?
The song was "From a Distance" by Bette Midler. That was the one that my group decided to pick.
Okay,
so,
go ahead.
Which is like a horrible, horrible song. So, whereas other people did songs like "From a Distance."
Yeah,
no. The "Wind Beneath My Wings" was from Beaches.
Oh, okay.
But "From a Distance" was a song. It was right when the war, right when Desert Storm was happening, and it just wasn't a good song. I knew you were going to play this fucking song. I don't like this song. It's not. I don't have like.
Here we go. Taylor's favorite song, right here on Afterthought Media. His number one song.
But the other people did songs like.
The world looks blue.
This is your favorite song, Taylor?
Yes, this is my absolute favorite Bette Midler song of all time. Not The Rose, not trying to think of other Bette Midler songs I love. Not One for My Baby.
What's funny?
None of her standards, none of her classics. From a Distance is my absolute favorite Bette Midler song.
I will say the production value though sounds like if the 90s was to be produced as a song, it's this. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I think this came out in 90 or 91. So it's a horrible song.
All right,
it's a horrible song. But anyway, other people did things that were a lot more fun. And I remember somebody did People Are People by Depeche Mode. And somebody did Born to Be Wild and things like that. And the videos we had, like where we watched all the videos together and people audibly groaned when ours started because of the music, but whatever. And this felt like that to me. So there was something where there was kind of like a high school-y film production value of it.
Yeah.
But that made it more endearing to me. I enjoyed it even more.
Okay.
So, yeah.
First of all, like I said, I love the pinata look, right? Which is the entrance. I don't know if I necessarily got the look she got for the interviews in the first lip sync song. But but to speak to your point, what's funny is it made me look at her more. So for instance, because her face was painted in such a unique way, I felt my eye was drawn more towards her, more than it should have been. I don't remember Jada at all. Gigi benefited because she was in the middle the whole time, but I remember always looking between Gigi and Crystal. But I barely remember Jada. And I'm not saying because one was better than the other, just Crystal's face paint and the red, and there was a lot of red involved, kept drawing my eye to it. So I remember her more than Jada because of that. Let's talk about
if I can say one thing though. It did kind of give you a feeling like you felt sort of like RuPaul. It gave you that sort of almost like a virtual reality of where, because you had to focus your attention. Like when they show her looking at the different girls and looking at what they're doing to make sure they know the words and stuff. It kind of gave you that idea of what it's like to be RuPaul watching the queen's lip sync to see who's getting the words, who's using their face journeys, who's doing all that kind of stuff.
All right. Very good. What did you think about her video message from her parents and the grandma? Oh, you already gave me that opinion. I thought it was sort of the father's obviously advancing in his Parkinson's disease,
right?
And that was sort of sad to see. But did you think it was the right thing to do to have him on the camera or not?
Ultimately he still loves and supports Crystal, and it's not really up to us. I mean, if it's one of those where he wanted to do it, then he should do it, and she should get to hear his words of support and love. It might have been upsetting for some of us to watch, or uncomfortable for us to watch, but that's what Parkinson's disease is. That's where we have people that want to root on their loved ones on this show. It's not about us. Hopefully it helps us to hopefully something like that helps us to be a little bit more empathetic and compassionate to people.
All right, very good. Ultimately, I thought, and I think this is true for all the video packages. We're going through it because this is what we're supposed to do. But for the most part, they were just very blood, whatever.
Standard.
It's almost like a pageant thing where everybody says the right thing, and it's just how do they do that? On the first response, some people were talking about was it a choice to highlight Crystal's Latinx heritage, and I didn't understand that opinion at all. Like I was just like, that's her grandma does speak Spanish. She is Latinx. Yeah, I didn't get that at all. But like,
Babalu didn't know. Babalu's like, she's Mexican, and I said, yeah. She's talked about that she's Mexican. He was like, oh, I didn't know.
Well, also the thing too is that I feel out of drag she looks Mexican.
I kind of think so too. But
yeah. Anyway, okay. All right. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? And when we come back, Tyler, we will talk about Gigi Good and we will talk about Jada Essence Hall. But we'll be back right after this.
This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's going to be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
All right, Taylor, let's move on to the next contestants. Gigi Good was the next one down the list. And we saw a video package about Gigi Good. We got a message from Gigi's mom. And then the whole baby picture thing. And then let's also talk about her video, too. The AHA video. So what were your thoughts there?
I don't really have any thoughts about Gigi's look. Or interview because I don't remember a lot about it. It seemed, I know she talked about the difference between being confident and being cocky.
She exactly replicated RuPaul's look from MTV's Spring Break 1993.
Okay, but I was more focused on the blue cone look that she was initially in. The interview, she clearly has the love and support of her mother. So she's, I wasn't surprised that was the video. I think her talking about her dad not understanding was, something that I think a lot of, people in the LGBT world can relate to. I thought her face lip sync she definitely was trying to tell a little bit of a story. She was definitely including comedy aspects to it. The syncopating her eyelashes to the beginning of the song she was pretty much spot on with that. And she was, as I said, she was one of the two that I was watching between her and Jada for that. As far as the AHA video goes, it felt like she was almost kind of trying to bookend her first lip sync where she's wearing like the motorcycle outfit. And she's even doing some of the similar dance moves where she's like kind of popping up and down and kind of like jumping really like do little through the video. But it was kind of boring to me. I wasn't as big of a fan of it as I would, because I love that song and I loved that video when I was a kid. The video that she based her video off of, but it was sort of like, okay, that was okay, It was fine.
Well, let me get to the video first. I loved it. That was fantastic.
Okay.
That was great. Supposedly, Gigi lives in an artist collective.
Okay.
And because of that, she's quarantining not only with more than one person, but also creative people. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm sure I don't know, again, I don't know how much, no one ever told us how much help she had with that, but maybe she had help. I think ultimately my problem with Gigi is she's too perfect. I remember
I can see that.
How do I say this? Just, get ready for a name drop here. This is a dumb name drop, but it's actually a horrible name drop. But I'm making a point here. I've been around Taylor Lautner a number of times. Okay.
Okay.
Obviously in 2009. And the creepy thing about Taylor Lautner, especially at that time, was that his skin was too flawless. Like there were no pores. There was not even like a anything. It looked perfect to the point of that uncanny valley kind of thing, where it almost looked creepy, you know? And I would say that's Gigi Good in a nutshell. And what I mean is it seems very studied. She's a kid who does her homework. But oftentimes, you know what a better example is? A better example is stand-up comedy. When you see actors do stand-up comedy, often what they do is they write, because this is what they're used to, they write an entire script, like a monologue, and then they memorize it. And it sounds, when actors do stand-up comedy, I'm not talking about in a movie, I'm talking about when they're actors who try and do stand-up comedy. Struggling actors I'll go to stand-up comedy in LA. It sounds like they're reading from a script. It sounds like, now some of you may think, wow, that guy is it, and it sounds very studied. And that's the problem with Gigi Good. It feels not organic. Like, in other words, say what you will about Crystal. And, like, for instance, I think I was less of a fan of the I'm like a bird thing than you were, But I will say it was unapologetically Crystal.
I wasn't like I thought it was an amazing video.
You said it was the best video in the fucking special. Don't lie.
At first, it was very like, what the fuck did I watch? But the more I liked it, I'm like, okay, but that's very her, and that's why we love her.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to Gigi, I'm sorry.
Yeah, say what you will, it was unapologetically Crystal, and I feel Jada's, not to tip my hand, was unapologetically. Jada was not afraid to show us her tiny ass apartment with like the fucking shitty IKEA drapes in the back, right?
Yeah.
It was unapologetically Jada, unapologetically Crystal, whereas Gigi's just seemed like, even the idea that she recreated RuPaul's outfit from Spring Break MTV 1993 shows that and what I think is particularly egregious, I feel someone else did that during the season. They pulled off a RuPaul look that was that a challenge?
That was they did the Night of 1,000 Michelle Visages, but they've done that in the past where they had to pull off a Ru look. That was, I think, last season.
I don't know. I remember somebody did it though, but someone did it like without being asked, and someone's like, "Oh my god, she had recreated some look." And it might have even been a Celebrity Drag Race. I don't know. There's so many fucking shows now. I don't know, right? But it felt very studied. It felt like it's the same. Look, there was a certain part. And I've talked about it before. I think that Gigi studies, but there's no soul in what she does. So like during the interview part or during the talking head with Ru, something came up and she literally recreated Kristen Wiig doing that character that just plays with her, like, and she, what's the name of that? I don't remember what her character's name is, but she's the one-upper. Like if you said like
Penelope.
Yeah, it's Penelope.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. So it's that character. She literally, it was an exact replication of Penelope's playing with her hair and going the same look, the same angle of her face, everything. She pulled to Penelope, right? Because she doesn't know she is it's funny that she was Maria the Robot because she is pretending to be a human being. It's a robot trying to pass as a human. It's a robot that studied. Oh, I think I used the same comparison in a recent episode where they plugged in all of ACD. I think that's the person who does it with a bunch of different artists. But the one I saw, they plugged in all of AC/DC songs, and the computer made a prototype AC/DC song. Okay?
Right.
This is the same thing with Gigi Good. I don't know who Gigi Good is. Does that make sense? I don't know who she is. I know Jada. I know Crystal based on what they gave us. I don't know who Gigi Good is. She just went, here's a recipe. aha, 80s. People will like this. Blue Buddy Blue. She seems created by a bunch of executives at WoW. Does that make sense?
Yeah, she's a formula.
She's a formula. I don't know who she is. Just that she has a mom that makes her outfits. Because she's a person who's only studied how to win RuPaul's Drag Race. I was actually thinking, because she's so young, right? And I was thinking, if she won, like, it's almost the Violet Chachki problem, who won very young. Like, where do you go from there?
She was only 21 or 22.
Yeah, where do you go? What do you do? By the way, here's the ACD song I'm talking about, where they just made it as a bot. Made it. Here we go. A bot made this. This is not a... That's not a real song. The bot just took ACD songs and made that. Right?
Yeah.
So that's Gigi Good. She just plugged in this part, I want this and I want that and I want that, and it spit out Gigi Good. And there was nothing. So you can say, oh, she lip synced better or this looked better. Of course it did. Of course it did. Everyone should know I was vamping there because Taylor's been eating the whole time.
That's not true. I took one bite like 15 seconds ago and I put my mic on mute. Bitch. No, that's not true.
I'm talking to that Taylor. Taylor has a whole, like breakfast on like a TV show with like a glass of orange juice, a glass of milk, cereal, 3 pieces of bacon, toast
with the one little pat of butter right in the center of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Taylor's just having during the show.
I'm being fortified with vitamins and minerals.
Yeah. So Gigi Good, I got nothing from it. Even though, again, the aha video might be my favorite video of the 3. I'll be honest with you. It might be my favorite video of the 3 was the aha one.
But it felt like it had the highest production value. So that speaks to
the lighting was amazing. With
yeah. The production value was amazing, but there wasn't necessarily soul to it.
No.
There wasn't. You could have plugged in any other queen that had been eliminated into that video, and it doesn't necessarily speak to, oh, that's a Gigi video.
Think about it.
Crystals is very much like a, Britta would have never done the thing where she dressed like a bird and stuck her head through it. It could have been really any contestant.
Mm-hmm.
Could have done the aha video.
Yeah. And the same thing with Jada's was, unequivocally Jada. But you're right. We could have just plug and played anybody into that aha video and it would have been great. And she how it so because she liked that song. I mean, what is that even? Let's say, for instance, no one else would do that. Has anything that you've ever seen this season spoken to you like, oh, that's so Gigi?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my thought. By the way, what are your thoughts on the fact that all the little white gay twinks are pressed that Gigi didn't win? I guess people are really upset on Twitter.
Are all the little twinks upset because Gigi didn't win?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. It feels like everybody that I followed this week was definitely more Team Jada or Team Crystal. Mm-hmm. So I think it's the same thing as with Jan. I think the girls are pressed that the cute twink went home. So I think now those same
it's the same Jan
are pressed
people.
that the twink didn't win. Yeah, it's the same thing. Whatever.
Look, those kind of people don't listen to our show. I don't think. If let me tell you this, if you're really upset with me because of what I said about Gigi, or if you're really upset about any of the results in general, email me at thebestoftoday@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. Tell me how it is. Tell me what a dumb fucking asshole I am. Thebestoftoday@gmail.com. Moving on, let's go to Jada Essence Hall. She got a video message from her brother and her father, which, man, I couldn't tell which was the father, which was the brother. The dad looked really good for his age, I will say that.
Yeah.
And then they talk about the grandma, which makes her tear up, about what the grandma would say. And that made a lot of sense.
I actually kind of teared up watching that because that speaks to the origins of Jada. Yeah. And it was where it felt again, it felt genuine. It felt like when she was talking about that and that she clearly adored her grandmother and talked about her grandmother with such reverence.
Yeah.
And to say, I like to think that I am doing this to honor my grandmother. And it just was something where I was like, I almost feel like that's the moment she won.
Yeah.
That is where she really kind of, we have this thing about pageant queens being very polished and very, very guarded because they have to have that, which we'll talk about that maybe later when we talk about the segment where they talked about the old producer.
Oh, we're going to talk about that?
And I thought maybe we could talk about it for a minute.
Okay.
So, because it speaks to kind of what I'm talking about here, just briefly. But she really kind of opened the door to let not only RuPaul in, but let us all in. And that was, I thought, oh, okay, you girl, you've got this. If nothing else, if she didn't get the crown, I feel like she would have gotten many, many more fans because of that moment.
Yeah, the messages from the dad, to be honest with you, there's not much to say about this. That's not a bad thing. You're right. Once she said the thing about the grandmother and what her grandmother was like and how that was sort of the birth of Jada, I was like, oh, it all came together.
Yeah.
It all came together on who Jada was. And what's so funny is once I was surprised that you wanted to do the segment about Jacqueline Wilson, but once you said that, and I'll talk about this there, it made me realize even something more about Gigi Goode, but we'll get to it when we get there. What did you think about her music videos?
The face of the Bring Back My Girls, she got crazy in it. There were times that she got really close to the camera and kind of like did like some really not great angles. Well, she's not a good from the chin up kind of her contouring. It throws off her contouring a little bit, but she went full in. I thought that what made her so amazing with that was that she was willing to kind of do what she had to do to win. She kind of was clawing her way past the other girls for that. As far as the video that she did to the Ciara song, it felt like, again, the energy there was very much something you would see in a club, something that you would, one of our listeners commented on Twitter, and he and I were talking back and forth, where he said, if I saw her do that in the club, I wouldn't have Uber money for the ride home because I would have given her all of my money, kind of thing. And it felt very much like that. I mean, definitely the production value was not as high because
who are you texting from the show?
Huh?
What listener are you texting with?
On Twitter. We were talking back and forth on Twitter.
Oh.
So.
Who is this listener?
Eddie.
Oh, interesting. You got to show me this Eddie later. It's weird because you don't usually engage with listeners.
No, usually I don't. But during the commercials, I was looking through Twitter to see what people were saying, and it was right after they showed that. And Babalu and I looked at each other. We're like, "That was awesome. That was really awesome." And then when I saw that, I just wrote right, with like big exclamation points. And
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And
show me this Eddie. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Show me Eddie later. All right.
Okay, so I'm not done talking about it.
Oh.
But I thought that it felt it was fun to watch, whereas I felt like Gigi's wasn't as much fun to watch. It was just where, and I even she just comes off. She talked about early on that she doesn't necessarily consider herself to be a drag queen as much as she does a female impersonator, or the illusion of. And I'm like, that's a woman. That's a biological woman up there dancing and throwing her hair around and everything. I mean, she looked beautiful. She had the energy. She was going to do everything she had to do. She left it on the stage, and that's what I loved about Jada's performance.
All right, very good. To me it was fine. You're right. We got to see who she was. It was fantastic. I gave my opinion. Heidi winning the whole segment with Heidi in closet winning the. Was it ever in doubt that she was going to be Miss Congeniality, by the way?
No, it was never going to be in doubt. I thought the thing with Nina was kind of cute. Dolly Parton was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
And I liked that everybody got $2,000 as from Pam, kind of talking about what this season has meant for people that have been sort of trapped in their house. I know you said that the ratings have been up for this season compared to other seasons. And it was, but there was no surprise there that it was going to be Heidi.
I have no thoughts on that segment. I actually am disappointed that she stayed with Heidi in closet. I'll say that. And also there was another like weird jokey Heidi segment, and I feel like they're trying to make Heidi a thing. Like, that's the one thing World of Wonder doesn't understand is the people that they try and make a thing, like Alyssa, like Vanjie, like Heidi. And I was talking to someone, I know who it is, but I don't want to put words in his mouth. And it was the one who gave me these ideas about this, is that, like, just let these people be who they are. They're best when they are. Alyssa Edwards is best when you don't script her and you let her just be Alyssa Edwards. Same thing with Vanjie. They put Vanjie in all these weird scripted bits, and and they're doing the same thing to Heidi, and just let Heidi be Heidi and it will be fine. You know, but WoW is such a fucking control freak that they have to script everything and blah, 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 blah. And you don't have to have them in the segment. Anyway, sorry, what were you going to say, Taylor?
No, this is a machine between this and VH1, I feel, that just wants to squeeze this franchise dry. I mean, we're seeing that with multiple iterations of Drag Race over the course of a year. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the fact that people are already talking about All-Star 6. Like, who could possibly be an All-Star 6 sort of thing? We've talked about it sort of thing, and that they're not going to take time off after everything goes back to where production can happen again. And I feel like she is an example. You're right. She is an example of this, of where they are just going to milk her for whatever they can at this point, and then, you know, be done with her.
All right. Were you upset by the fact that no one was eliminated for the second lip sync round?
I was a little, because I feel like I really kind of hate the three-way lip syncs. I know they did that with Eureka and Cameron and Aquaria. It's too much. There's too much going on. My eyes can't focus on all of that going on at the same time. So I would rather they actually had eliminated somebody. I feel like there was if there had been 4 people, they would have eliminated somebody. But I feel like because each of those girls has such a strong fan base, that they felt like there was no way they could eliminate one and not piss off people for the last half or whatever, the last 20 minutes of the show. So
well, also it's just like it fulfills the whole Destiny's Child thing. It's just 3 girls on there singing. 2, I'm sure they were like, "What the fuck? Who cares? Nothing matters anymore."
But that's kind of what it feels. That's what I'm saying. That's what it feels like. It felt very like phoned in. So
yeah, but I saw people like really upset about this, and that they said something on the again. This first response now with me not on it is a Wild West. And people were saying things that were just like, well, thank God this wasn't a lip sync for the crown, because I hate that segment. And I was like, this was exactly lip sync for the crown. What are you talking about?
That is what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And they lip sync. People forget they've lip synced almost every finale. When Sasha Velour did that, they changed it up to where it was like an elimination type of thing. But the girls have always lip synced for the crown. Always. It just used to be a song written by Lucian Piani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't Rue last week say they were going to have 5?
They did have 5 songs.
They had to do?
They did do 5 songs. They did Bring Back My Girls. They each did 3. They each did 1.
Okay.
And then there was a
fifth. Then I meant, because I thought it was they were going to go head to head on 5 different challenges. So okay. All right. Yeah. Well, then I guess that's
all right. Let's talk about your favorite part of the show, the segment that was honoring producer Jacqueline Wilson, who passed away in September of 2019. What were your big thoughts here, Taylor?
I thought it was a nice segment. I was glad to see so many girls come back for it. But here's the thing, and kind of going back to that, we were talking about that polished and that scripted type thing. It felt like everybody was speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden in the middle of it, they show this 10-second clip of Alyssa where she's clearly reading a statement. That felt very like everybody, like, they're talking to Monet, and they're talking to Aiden, and they're talking to Vanjie and stuff. And it just felt all of a sudden you had this weird, like, on his phone, where everybody else, they were sitting in front of a camera. They have this weird, like, on his phone. It just was.
But I think that speaks to Alyssa. I don't think it's World of Wonder. I think it's Alyssa. I think what's funny.
Oh, no, I agree.
Yeah. Is of the 3 people, Heidi, Vanjie, and Alyssa, Vanjie knows why she's funny. I think Heidi does too. I don't think Alyssa quite knows. I think Alyssa, the charm of Alyssa, she thinks she's being perfect and beautiful, and she always wants to present herself in a very perfect way, but when she's left to her own devices, does not. So,
Yeah.
What I was going to say, what I realized when you said you wanted to do this segment, was I didn't know Jacqueline Wilson before this segment, and afterwards, I felt I knew her.
Yeah, I know they, at the beginning of the season, I think the end of the first episode, they did a in memory of, because it was right after it was the first episode after she had won the Emmy, because she died like not long after they won the Emmy this year. And so it was kind of like one of these, it was sort of this thing pinned on between the, in light of recent developments, Sherry Pie will not be on the, on the finale. So that they dedicated a little bit of time to her here, I thought was a very nice, a nice thing to do for, and for the girls who she worked with.
Yeah.
I thought was important.
All right, let's talk. What's so funny is we've talked a lot about how a lot of these girls were robbed of, making money for these viewing parties. They've got robbed in a lot of ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just realized Evie Oddly was robbed in that she didn't get to have her big grand finale entrance like everybody gets. And then we saw the look that she put together for that. What were your thoughts here on the Evie Oddly segment?
I was not a fan. I get the idea of making an outfit out of sweatpants for the quarantine and stuff, but the weird, it just something about it was just very weird to me, which I get. That's Evie. Evie is a weird queen.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. I wasn't necessarily. I was kind of like, okay, I don't know.
All right. And I was very.
What did you
whatever.
think?
Well, I was very just whatever about it. It's again, but I don't hold it against her. It's just such a weird time that I would love to have seen what she would have brought had she been doing the finale. What they would have done. She did the best of what she could do.
What I would love, but though it will never ever happen, is hopefully by this time next year, we're back to some semblance of normalcy. And where there can be group gatherings and that kind of stuff. And if for season 13, they do at the Orpheum Theater, whatever it is that they always did the other one, they do the finales, they take a moment to give all of the season 12 girls a chance to walk the runway in front of everybody. And they also give Evie a chance to come out, and even, I would say, even Nina at that point. Just a moment where they can all come out and they all get that moment like every other time they've done a live finale that they've done that in the past. I would love to see that happen for them, because this has been a very weird season, and this was a very weird finale. But it's kind of what we've had to do.
Yeah.
But that it just seems like it's not fair to them.
All right, very good. All right, Taylor. Well, then we get to the end. The song is "Survivor" by Destiny's Child. All three of them perform, and then RuPaul names Jada Essence Hall as the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12. Taylor the Latte Boy, give me all your final thoughts first on this lip sync, next on Jada Essence Hall, and then your final thoughts on the season, and we can get the fuck out of here.
All right. I thought the lip sync was Jada's from the second it started.
Yeah.
I feel, Crystal was... I kept losing Crystal. I wasn't even really looking at Crystal. And Gigi, I didn't understand that she was trying to go from black and white to the Wizard of Oz where then suddenly she was in the outfit was, in color versus.
Oh, is that what was going on?
Right. That's it. I didn't really understand it. And when she pulled off the boots, she had on the ruby slippers. But it didn't really meet what I don't think it really read the way she wanted it to. But Jada's, you knew there was going to be a reveal from the weird cloak thing that she was wearing. And I think that just the way that she was dancing and the energy she was giving was such that there was no way she wasn't going to win on that lip sync alone compared to the other two.
All right.
So
I agree. I think it was from the start. It was Jada's crown to lose. I didn't even pick up. I'll have to watch that lip sync all over again, but to look at Gigi's performance. But look, here's the deal. This goes to my thoughts on the entire season. It just reminded me of losing a parent to a terminal illness, or even someone you love to a terminal illness. I'll tell you what I mean. Is you're sorry to see them go, but you're glad it's over. If that makes sense.
Okay. Jesus.
Because
yeah, I mean, it left before it was unwelcome.
Yeah. And I don't blame the girls. I don't blame World of Wonder. I don't blame RuPaul. It was just this season had no luck whatsoever, whether it be from Sherry Pie, whether it be from coronavirus and the pandemic and being locked up and the quarantine. It just has not been a lucky season, right? And so, like you and I said, it was actually an entertaining season. You and I didn't really get that usual fatigue that we get, but I'm glad the season's over.
I just saw a tweet that they used a picture of from last year's finale of Silky versus somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Silky versus Brooke.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of these where I'm like, oh my God, Silky Nutmeg Ganache was last season, and just how exhausting she was. And like there was not anybody. I mean, I know that we talked a little bit about Britta kind of being the one that we struggled with the most probably this season, but there was never that anxiety created from watching conflict that I don't like, that I think is part of the reason why I get tired when you start to watch those fights and we talk about those fights and we explore them and stuff. So in that regards, I agree that it's leaving at just the right time, and now we've got All Stars coming up, and it'll be a fresh new group. The season's not as long, and then we'll definitely take a break. So I would recommend, and I hope you would agree with me on this, that when we get back to where we can start to see these girls live performing, to kind of make up for the time that they lost, go, if they're coming to your town, go see them. I think I would see just about any one of these girls perform.
Okay.
I think I would go if they were, with like one or two possible exceptions. I would go if they were coming to my town. I'd go, we'll go out and have a drink and go and watch them, lip sync, throw a couple dollars at them, and then go.
All right. Very good. Any other final thoughts on this season?
I really enjoyed doing it with you. We've had fun this season. I think just for some reason this episode. Seriously, anybody who doesn't listen to Just Between Us Girls, do what you got to do to get this last episode, because I just laughed for an hour. So
I know it was a very long episode.
Just stupid. We're just both dumb, really, when it boils down to it.
Yeah, it really is so dumb. I was the whole time I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Well, Taylor, as you know, we always end the theme song of the show. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? This is too high. Hold on. We got to find a lower key here.
Mixler is saying that they can't hear the show. People in Mixler sent the show.
I see volume. I don't know. Songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know the wrong way to see. Someday we'll find it. the Taylor connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Well, that's going to do it for this season of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. This episode was produced by Luke Stamen. Be sure to join us next week and every week as Lori Roggenkamp and I discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 5. But for now... Huh?
Good luck with that.
For now, for Taylor the Latte Boy and myself...
Sashay away until All Stars 5.
All right, well, there you go. Someday we'll find it, the Taylor connection, when he does Drag Race Canada with me. All of us under its spell. We know that Taylor will do it. Taylor, right now here, live on the podcast. Will you commit to Drag Race Canada? I'll take your silence.
One season.
That is a yes. So we'll see you in July with Drag Race Canada. Wait, is that Babalu getting a rifle? I think he's coming to shoot your computer screen. Someday he'll find it, the Taylor connection. Babalu, the listeners, and me. Oh, da 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 da.
Shut up.
Thank you for listening to RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Email us at dragracerecap@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Drag Race Recap. If you want access to more Season 12 content, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can follow Taylor the Latte Boy on Twitter and Instagram at PIMCTaylor. Follow Joe Betance on Twitter and Instagram at Joe Betance. That's JoeBetance. The theme song was written by Lucian Piani and arranged and performed by Alex Lefebvre. This episode was produced by Luke Stamen. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.